What's up, everybody? This is Steve. With me today is Josh and Justin. And hey, guys, we've got some fun things to talk about. Hey, Josh, how's it going? What's new?
Good, yeah. Did pretty much hardly anything over since the last time we recorded. I went to the zoo. I did do that.
Okay.
Went with our godson and his parents. And it was a lot of fun. So
Nice.
I didn't realize how much construction was going on at the zoo. I don't go there often, but they're like completely redoing the whole entrance to the zoo. So there's like everything's in construction mode right now.
Okay.
Bulldozers everywhere, active construction yard. But other than that, the actual inside of the zoo was pretty normal. So
yeah, I can't think of the last time I was at the zoo. I've been a few times, but 3-4 years ago, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I probably go like 3 times a year is usually how it's been since we moved to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So went with your friends and godson. How old is the godson?
Like 3.
Okay, so this was a fun experience to watch him, I'm sure.
Yeah, like he was like, it almost like he had a checklist and he was just trying to get through that checklist as fast as possible. He was like, all right, next one, let's go. And then like he just runs to the next one. He's like, oh, that's a tiger. Sweet, let's go.
That makes it a lot of fun. Yeah.
Just speed running.
Yeah, no, that's great. Justin, you had a very different weekend, it sounds like.
Yeah, had a little bit of a bachelor weekend with my wife and daughter out of town. Which was good, I guess. It was kind of lonely. We have a 3-story house, and it was just like, oh, I'm here by myself. But I bought my birthday was on Thursday. So
Woo!
1 year closer to 40. Josh, the beard is getting closer to looking about the shade of yours. But I used some of my birthday money to buy the new FIFA game, so I played a lot of FIFA this weekend. So that was good.
Justin, I feel like I would be a lot more like you if I let mine grow out, where the gray would come in a lot more, but I can hide it a little bit more by keeping it short.
Everything towards my face is nice and dark. It's just the bottom of the
beard. There's some specks and it's getting grayer as time goes on. Great. Quiet weekend for me here. Doing some house projects, trying to get the wood shop more organized, because it seems like every time I go to work on a project, like things don't have a place. So it's kind of been my weekend, just kind of relaxing. So guys, we won.
Yeah.
It was fun. Josh.
Oh.
You're up.
There you go.
That's a beautiful sound. So we had Indy beat them 2-1. We will get into that. First, though, we do want to acknowledge some news. So we saw this Friday night a little bit after 9 o'clock. Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC head coach Bob Lilley has been placed on administrative leave. Assistant coach Rob Vincent will serve as acting head coach effective immediately. The club will not have any further comments at this time. So that came out pretty late on the day on Friday. I think took a lot of fans by surprise. But really what we know is what they've said. Doesn't seem like we or any other media outlets have had any other information given to them. And so kind of just is what it is. I mean, Justin, initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Obviously, the club has been with events in Hartford the other week. There's been some things that the club has been. There's been a little controversy, I guess, surrounding the club for a couple weeks here. And it's interesting because you think, like, I don't know how long the USL takes to investigate things or like what. All of that, and again, all of this is hearsay. We don't know anything. I'm not saying anything that anybody doesn't know, but it's just like, it is interesting to see that this is the case and kind of where we are at this point in time, and so it'll be interesting to see like what comments come out over the next weeks and if the club does make a statement at some point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, with that, we know that Rob was taking over the role of head coach. We also saw that Dan Visser was back on the sideline last night. I mean, Josh, you were there. Did you get a sense as you watched the game, watched the players, whether that was during the game or during warmups? Like what was your sense of the feel, the environment? Did it feel different? Yeah.
I mean, it did feel different, but it also felt like everyone was blindsided by this. Like, it wasn't like the players had advance notice over us. Like, I'm pretty sure the players found out like the same day we found out, but like maybe halfway through the day they found out, and then it was announced via social media. Mike pointed out in our Mongols chat that didn't get a press release sent as well. It was just social media posts that kind of made this announcement. So it felt very much not like part of a plan, which kind of makes me believe that this might be league done, not, team done. It wasn't like, anyway, since we don't know anything, I don't want to speculate too much, but I definitely just want to kind of point out that I don't think this is something that the team knew was happening well in advance, and that kind of showed. And I think that's also why we saw Visser on the sideline. Like, I don't think it was that, Visser is going to be the assistant coach. Like, no, It was just more like, who do we have who can be an assistant coach? And it's like, we have Visser. So it was more just making the pieces fit than anything else. So it was just wild. And I do feel like it kind of made this game feel a little bit more like just not freeing, because it was not like, chains were on them before this, but it definitely felt more like, all right, like this is just a wild card. Let's just go. And so you didn't know what to expect.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really appreciate your perspective. I think really like your comments about Visser being there, that I thought about that. I don't expect to see him on the sideline next season, but you've got a guy that has coached this team for 9 years, was it? And knows the players, has been instrumental in signing a lot of these players, and has been there for a lot of these players' careers. And so getting someone like that and helping to distribute the workload, I think, on the sideline, another voice with Bushy and Kenny to help Robbie kind of figure out where to go with some of the decision-making, tactics, substitutions, and whatnot. Glad to see him back out there, knowing that he's really happy with the lifestyle change of not having to travel all the time as a coach. So I really don't think we'll see him back there. I mean, unless Tuffy pulls a fast one and asks him to take over the head coaching role. But we don't know that, right? Like, that's just pure speculation. But
and just because we also don't know if Bob's not going to be the coach anymore. Like, right now it says, administrative leave. This, for all we know, he could be the coach next week. Like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how long this lasts. We don't know really anything. And no one's talking, which is also something to point out here, because obviously it's a smaller organization, and like a lot of people in the SEAL Army are friends with people in the organization. We have ex-employees. We have people who like hang out with the players. So like, we're all just kind of friends as well. So you would think this would get leaked pretty fast, but no, like no one's really talking right now, and it has the feeling that most people don't know. Like, it's not that they're like being really good at not saying anything. It's just like, no, I don't know what's going on either. So yeah, it is a weird situation, and it's just one of those things where you kind of have to wait and see what the heck is going on here.
Go ahead, Justin.
To that point, Josh, I think I had been thinking about it a little bit, because 2 weeks ago, when everything happened in Hartford, we all kind of looked at what happened with San Diego and Phoenix from several years ago, and kind of we're using that a little bit as a benchmark of what to expect over the next couple of days and weeks and all that kind of stuff. And what's interesting is Phoenix's coach, Rick Shantz, was also placed on administrative leave. That's exactly that's the exact language they used for it in the following of that game. Now, I think it was the day after the game that he was placed on administrative leave, but it was that same language was used. And I looked up to see what happened, and it was 20 days later that he got reinstated to the team. Now, on that administrative leave. He did some counseling and things like that they were supposed to do, and all of that he had to do some stuff to get reinstated, but he got reinstated 20 days later. And so to your point, this is not, hey, Bob's gone and Bob's not here anymore. Bob won't be a part of the Hounds going forward necessarily. Now there could be a coaching change, and we can talk about all the reasons for that. But I think there is, you don't know. Bob could be back on the sidelines next week.
Yeah. So, I think that's what we can say in terms of our perspectives, what we don't know and what nobody else knows. I will say something that I think nobody would be surprised of, that I've talked about a lot this year, that if there was ever a good reason to move on from Bob, this gives you a really easy excuse, Duffy. But I don't know that we'll know one way or another until things are settled for next year. And so just, Duffy, I'm going to say it. You've heard me say it. If you've listened, that I think you need to move on. Now you've got an excuse. So that's what I got on that. And there is nothing on that is based in anything other than my perspective. So, but yeah, guys, 2-1 win at home. Goals came from Danny Griffin in the 38th minute and Sean Suber in the 76th minute before giving up, an 88th minute goal. Other highlights from this game, we saw Mertz and Dick return to the starting 11. Justin, give me a takeaway from this game.
Yeah, I think the announcers kind of said it towards the end of the game last night, but I think the Hounds did a really good job of absorbing a lot of pressure in the first 20 minutes of the game. Indy was pressing high and putting a lot of pressure on the back line, and the Hounds to get rid of the ball, to figure out what they were going to do with it, how they were going to handle it. And you kind of knew, a lot of times when I see teams press that high and work that hard, they can't do that all game. They can't do that all game. So I knew that it would eventually end, but I'm like, can the Hounds get through this without giving up a goal, and ended up kind of in a bad situation there. And so I thought it was really good of the team. I thought the team did a lot of good work to do that, to absorb kind of the pressure for the first 25 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it was, and then be able to kind of break out of that. And, it looked like for the 5 or 10 minutes before we scored that it was headed that way. But it was good to finally get it and for the ball to actually go in the back of the net. Absolutely.
I meant to do this before we started talking specifics about the game, but didn't put it in my notes because I don't have the same editing capabilities that Mike has. So I just want everybody to imagine that the credits start rolling and there is the noise of a Star Wars theme.
This week's Mondo moment from the Riverhounds match against Indy 11 comes in the 38th minute, as Augie Williams haunts his former team by setting up Danny Griffin for his career-high 6th goal this season. This is the way. Also, congratulations to the Riverhounds for going to the playoffs 8 consecutive seasons, the longest current streak amongst all 4 professional teams in Pittsburgh. This is the way.
So you get it, even though we don't have Mike's fancy graphics. For those of you wondering, Mike is doing what he does best and assisting with scout days or fort days or something like that. It's one of the things that he does in Ligonier that he's really involved with and does an excellent job with. And so that's why he's not with us today. So we wish him well. Speaking of Mike not being here, I think it's fitting that Mike does not get to talk about a Hounds win where, even though it was only 52%, the Hounds had more possession than the team that they beat. And so, Mike, I just got to say, I get to talk about that. You don't. I think that's fitting. But I bring that up because I think that, Justin, you talked about it. Those first 20 minutes were a little frenetic for the Hounds defense. I think the end of the game was as well. I didn't feel this in the moment throughout most of the game, but in reality that this was a pretty evenly matched game in terms of what both teams did. Just the Hounds were able to convert some of their shots. So, I mean, Josh, as you were there, in the stands, what was the feeling about how the Hounds' performance was? Did you guys feel that this was something where the Hounds had the upper hand the whole time, or were there a lot of moments of nervousness?
It's not so much that they had the upper hand the whole time, but they definitely felt like the more dominant team the whole game, in my opinion. Like being in the stands watching the game, it felt like the Hounds were having better possession, better shots on goal, more dangerous. Indy was scrambling a little bit more. So when I saw the stats and I saw how evenly distributed it was, I was like, are you sure? Because it felt like the Hounds were definitely the dominant team. I don't know if that was just because we got the first goal. So, that kind of changes things as far as the way possession has to work and the way the teams are scrambling. But especially with the shots on target, like it felt like there was some Indy chances, but nothing felt super dangerous. Whereas there was like 3 shots that, were on target and their keeper just played on his head and actually was able to save. And this could have easily been a higher scoring game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that take, because I think I kind of feel the same way, that it was the intangible things that the Hounds were doing that are not going to be reflected on the stat sheet, but that little bit of extra quality that the Hounds had, that Indy had to deal with, that I didn't feel like the Hounds had to deal with. But on the other side of that, I do want to say, I mean, Eric Dick also played really well and made a couple of big saves that otherwise could have changed this game drastically. Justin, give me another takeaway.
I think, just to respond to something you guys said, I think where I felt the difference in the game was it was very the dominance of the game went in spurts. And so I felt like Indy had it in the first 15 to 20 minutes, but everyone's just kind of settling the game. You're wondering how the game's going to turn out. You don't really notice that as much. And then we go up 2-0. And I think then Indy kind of had, at least until they scored, there wasn't really all that much dangerous after they scored. But once they scored their first goal, they kind of, for 10 or 15 minutes before that, kind of had this, again, another spurt of, hey, we're trying to score here to get back in this game to see if we can do it and all that kind of stuff. And so it was like for me, it was like the times where Indy looked better is like 2 specific times. And it's kind of 2 of the times where you expect that to happen, right? The away team comes in, they try to pressure the home team, they try to get on top of them in the first 15 minutes. Then at the end of the game, they're trying to score to tie the game, all that kind of stuff. So I agree with you. I think overall, on the whole of the night, I think the Hounds look like the better team. I really appreciated our midfield last night. I thought our midfield played really well. Between Danny, it might have been one of Charles All's best games overall. He's definitely had some moments in this season, but I thought he looked like he belonged in the midfield, which sometimes I'm like, not that you're bad, but you're kind of the weak link of the midfield. But this game, I didn't feel that as much. So it was a good game for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think on Charles All, this was the first time I felt like his talent matched his feeling settled with the rest of the players and with the pace of the league. That we've seen times where his raw talent is really, really good. But he also sometimes looks a little overmatched and doesn't have quite the same sharp decision-making that we hope to see from our more tenured players. And in this game, I really appreciated. He seemed to be making better decisions. He seemed to be understanding the pace of play, the way that things happen in the championship, and looked really, really good for me. And so I really liked his performance, despite a couple chances that he had and a couple times he could have had an assist. It didn't reflect on the stat sheet. So, Josh, what else you got?
I kind of want to go to that first goal and how good it was because it was a good run of play set up there. Kind of speaking of players who had, I think, really good games at 2, it's kind of starting that off with lobbing it over to Augie, and then Augie passing it. Well, was it a pass? Was it a shot? It was a pass, right?
It was.
Definitely.
Definitely a pass.
And if you ask Augie, he's going to say it was obviously a pass.
Going across the face of the goal, and then Danny being able to get onto it, and just getting that goal. The whole thing looked great. I just thought it was worth pointing out that getting a run of play goal that involves Augie is something to celebrate. So, and then Danny getting that goal is fantastic. Yeah. But I do think there was a lot of credit to that goes to Etu with kind of like starting that play up.
Yeah, I agree.
I would agree. I think Etu had one of his better games of the season. Yeah. And I know we've talked about it over the last couple of weeks, last week kind of being the exception, but over the last couple of weeks, it looks like Etu might finally be back. Like he's willing to drive into the box, take a player on, make the player foul him. All of that kind of stuff, which is all really, really good stuff and what we need to see from him.
Yeah. I think it was a couple episodes ago I had said that it felt like the old Etu was back in that game. That probably his best game of the season. And for me, this game was another one where I felt he was at tip-top shape. So I think that praise is well-deserved, Junior. Gosh, man. I mean, it's interesting to look at this game, and I appreciate your breakdown of the quality of that goal, Josh. For me, though, as good as that goal was, it came out of nowhere for me in terms of what I expected. And I think that a lot of that is back to Junior Etu on that pass. That so many times in the past few years, we've seen him make a run all the way down to the end line instead of making the pass a little bit earlier. And that pass earlier took me by surprise, which I think it took Indy by surprise as well. And so I think that changed the point of attack a little bit. And that was really, really helpful in that moment.
All right. Now I'm second guessing myself. I'm rewatching the replay because I was like, oh, yeah. Did I remember all that right? Etu jumped up on the scoreboard. So I thought he was involved with that. But
is it not him that made the pass?
Is it Mertz that actually makes the pass? Like, why was... Okay, I'm so confused now. They don't really show it very well in the replay here, so I'm trying to like watch it and see if I'm wrong here. But it looks like I see Mertz.
I'm trusting you, and you're steering me astray.
I could have swore it was Etu. And now I'm like watching.
And I will be honest that
there's one shot where they show.
I watched the highlights before we start talking about the game, and for some reason today it just didn't get to it. So I think it's because Justin got on a little earlier and I didn't get a chance to pull it up. So I'll blame Justin without really.
You can blame me
Justin.
for coming
off.
No, it's totally Mertz. It's totally Mertz.
Totally Mertz. Okay. Well, I
guess
think
what?
my
Mertz was
point
back this
still
game.
stands that those types of plays, we rarely see the ball coming in early. And that was a thing of beauty to me because I don't think that goal happens if that ball makes it all the way to the end line.
Wild.
And to that point, I mean, I think both of them had a really good game on that side of the field. It was clear that Etu and Mertz have an understanding of each other. They know how each other wants to play. They were finding little 1-2s and different things on that side of the field. So many times you see that little 1-2 that gets Junior to the byline with, a pass in, all that kind of stuff. And some of that just has not been happening this year. It has not been happening with the same frequency. But they were running that, for the first half, what was on the broadcast, the far side of the field. They were running, that channel really, really well for both of them. And so I think that definitely helped the game get to where it was.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about different players and players we've really liked this year, players that have made an impact this year. I think on that topic as well is that this is a resurgence for Junior Etu that is keeping Perrin Barnes, who I think all of us have really liked throughout most of the season. That I don't have many memories of Barnes having a bad game, and I have a lot of memories of him doing really good things. But this is a situation where Junior is keeping Perrin Barnes off the field at this stage. I guess I want to hear your thoughts, Josh, on what that means if we're able to keep those players going forward.
Like next year, do you think?
I don't know. It's an open-ended question. I don't have a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think Perrin Barnes is a good player, and I would like to see him more staying on. But like I think right now, I'm happy with that lineup, what we have like for this last game. So I'm not gonna, sit here and be like, oh yeah, he deserves, to be out there as well. Like if this is the lineup we have, I was super happy with this whole starting lineup.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think though the reason I asked that question is I've talked a lot throughout the season of the need to have competition at a number of different positions, and we've seen that sometimes Charles All has made it difficult for the coaching staff to make decisions about who's going to be in midfield, as has Brad Sample, as has Jackson Walty, that you can't put all of those guys on the field at the same time. It feels like this is the first time in a long time where we've really had a lot of decisions to make at a wingback position as well, or a wide back position, depending on the formation. And so I really like to see that.
Yeah, and like you also have, the more experienced player with Etu, I feel like, and Perrin Barnes coming up behind him. And I mean, Junior is what, I think in his 30s? 30.
He's in his 30s.
Yeah, 31. He's 31 years old. So I mean, it's probably going to be, Perrin Barnes show sooner than later.
But the thought that went through my mind as you said Junior, and you're like asking how old he was, and I'm like, he's young. And I remember a day when I thought, man, 34, 32, like that's old, and not anymore. So young.
All
So the body
players are
is not
young.
though to be
Let's
a
just-
professional soccer player. I think we've all passed the Rubicon of being older than the players at this stage, and
Yes,
it's
just
a weird
passed.
transition. And so, those of you that listen, you will get there too, and we wish you good luck. Come talk to us when you hit that stage, guys. Any other thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I thought, Josh, to your point that you made earlier, I definitely felt. Obviously, the Hounds have played a certain way all season long, so there's still a lot of that you saw. This definitely felt like a little bit of a wild card game in some sense, that there was enough feeling of difference of what was happening on the field that I was like, oh, something's shifted, something's changed. And you could put it down to the Friday night coaching switch. You can put it down to, you can put it down to we're in a playoff run, we needed the win. All kinds of stuff you can put it down to. But I feel like there was a little bit of a difference in this game. Like you said, there was 7 shots on goal. Several of them probably could have gone in. We probably deserved to get our first 3-goal game of the season. But it was fun it was actually a fun game to watch. That's what I think I'm trying to say. Is sometimes I've watched the Hounds this season, I'd be like, this is not even fun to watch. But this was a fun one to watch. So I enjoyed watching it.
They were hunting for that third goal. I mean, I thought that third goal was happening, and I was so excited for us to finally get 3 goals in a single game. First time all season would have been, and unfortunately, it did not happen. But it did feel like this was the type of game where, they weren't taking their foot off the gas. They were definitely still hunting for more goals, which was fun to watch, and they did it without feeling like they were giving up a lot defensively. So, it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah. All right. So, one of the things that's great about this is last week, I mean, we talked about the state of the Hounds and the year-over-year progress. And so not that any of the charts that I shared have drastically changed, but it is a really nice feeling for me to see that the Hounds are above a goal per game on the season at this stage. And so I really like that. I think in a moment, like we'll talk about kind of what to expect for these last 2 games of the season, but we got to pick a top 3. And I don't know. I'm going into this, and I've got 6, 7 thoughts on people I can put in this. So I'm going to ask you first, Josh. Give me a player, top 3.
Man. I wouldn't say number 1, but I do think Junior should be in there. I thought he had a really good game, and it was just, I don't know, fun to watch. Even if I did misremember him being more pivotal for that first goal. But yeah, just like overall watching that game. And I was there, so it's a little bit harder when you're actually at the games to kind of give like a, bird's eye view of what was going on. But it definitely felt like he was having a great game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Justin, who you got?
I'm gonna take the not so obvious one and say Suber, and it goes back to Josh's just comment right now of like got the goal. So I mean that's one thing. First goal of the season, can't complain about that. But also I thought defensively he had a really good game, and when you could take Edward Chizza, I guess is what we're calling him now, according to the broadcast. I don't know. But when you can take Kizza, Rendon, Romario Williams, you can take them all kind of out of the game in a lot of ways. You played a pretty good game. And so I thought any of the back 3 had a great game, but Suber scored the goal. So I'll give it to Suber.
Yeah, I mean, Suber for me is definitely in the top 3. I mean, this makes it hard for me to put another option forward because, I don't think that the first goal happens obviously without Augie's heads-up play, and I think he had a lot of other plays that were really, really good. Danny scored that goal, which was really nice. I don't know that he was the best hound on the field, but seeing him come back into the 11, well, I guess I could say this about 2 players, but I'll say it about Robbie Mertz, that there was a really different feel to this game with his energy, with the way that he was working the ball, chasing balls down, and just harassing players in that midfield. I mean, we talked earlier about how good the midfield was, and I think a lot of that is the presence of Robbie Mertz in that midfield. And then there's Eric Dick, that he saved 2 shots that I'm not sure another goalkeeper could have saved as easily, and he made them look easy. And so I am stuck. I will pick someone, but I don't know who yet. And this is what I get for letting you guys go first. I should have just picked somebody.
I'll give you my argument based off of all of what you just said.
Okay, good. That's what I was hoping for.
My argument should be DG because he scored the goal, and I think that is a pretty fair thing. My reason for it not being Augie was there are still so many times where I watch the game where I just get so incredibly frustrated with Augie. And one of the things, and I told Laura Ellen this a week or 2 ago, I'm just amazed how on long balls, when the ball's up in the air, how some soccer players just literally cannot read the ball. And Augie is one of those players for me that just so many times where you've got to win that first header so that somebody can get on the second ball, and he's just nowhere close. Like, it's the defender's there, and he is just nowhere close to getting to the balls. And I don't know if that's he doesn't want to foul, he doesn't want to play physical, he doesn't want to something's weird there. And so that there was a lot of times last night where I thought we could have had another goal or 2 had Augie played a little bit better. But DG scored the goal, so I feel like that's where it's got to go.
I thought you were going to say because he's permanently camped offside. I don't know. It's just
that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of things we could talk about in that. We're going to go. Okay, so we've got Junior, we've got Suber, we've got Danny. For me, I really like the argument for Suber's performance. And this is one where I think that he did things on both sides of the field that were instrumental in winning this game. So I'm putting Suber first. Any arguments with that?
No, actually, but that would probably be my pick as well.
Okay. Danny and Junior. Who's number 2? Give me an argument, Josh.
No, I just want Junior in the lineup, so I'm fine with Danny getting number 2. I do think he probably had more of an effect on this game overall, but yeah, I'm fine with that.
So, Justin, I got a question for you. Danny versus Junior. Danny scored the goal. Junior did not make the pass that led to the goal. But which player had a bigger impact throughout the entire night?
So I had no. Listen, I had a really funny thought. I had a thought before you asked the question. I had a thought enter my mind, and here's my thought. The cat's away, so the mice can play, right? I say we give the third spot to Mertz and Atu for their running the line on the left-hand side of the field. That we can just give them a combined, not half a point each, just give them both a point. Because they just made that side of the field go really, really well. And I think them combined with what DG did, I could see them all getting the same amount of points. But
we have one 3-pointer and we have 3 1-pointers instead of having a 2 and a 1.
1 and 1/3 pointer. I don't know.
No. In the end, it makes the same amount of points. I mean, you're fine there. Right. Everyone gets 1 point except for. I'm not saying
I like what we're doing, guys. You know, I mean, and I am going to put this on Mike because Mike was the one that last week opened the door to say we don't have to give points to everybody. So why can't we give all of the points and spread them out more equitably? So there you go, Mike. That's what you get for not being here. We are giving Suber 3. We are giving Danny, Robbie, and Junior 1. So update that little chalkboard behind you before next week, and we want to see those points reflected.
I do think that makes it pretty hard for anyone. I don't think anyone now can catch up to Mertz in the standings because Mertz has the most points right now.
I mean, yeah, that's the where I wish I had like a picture from YouTube of Mike's board from last week. Guys, we got 2 games left and things are coming down to the wire. So let's take a look at the standings. A lot of things got locked in this weekend. A number of teams won the games they needed to win. Some other teams did not. I mean, we knew Louisville was gonna be there eventually, but they officially got the player shield this weekend. But then everybody below them to us in 6th place is now qualified for the playoffs. Charleston is very safe in 2nd place. Nobody can catch them. But that 3 spot down all the way to Tampa Bay in 10th is still question marks about who plays at home or who makes the playoffs. And so where that is, Hartford is the first team that we probably actually care about. 44 points in 3rd place. Loudoun at 42 points. North Carolina at 41. We are at 40 in 6th place. Rhode Island is only 3 points behind us with 37. Detroit is 5 points behind above the playoff line at 35. Indy at 32 and Tampa Bay at 30 are still alive. And so, I mean, there's a lot that can change in the next 2 weeks. The Hounds, however, can't do anything to those teams because our next 2 opponents are Monterey Bay away. Monterey Bay is 11th in the West, and they need a win to have a chance. I think they need a win and another result to have a chance to make the playoffs. And then we host final game of the season, Phoenix, who's currently in 6th in the West. The teams that we are chasing, Hartford, they have to play Tampa, who, like I said, is still alive. And then they play Louisville. And so there's something there that they, depending on what Tampa does, you expect them to maybe get 3 points, 1 point, but you don't expect them to get 6 points. Loudon, they've got Indy, who we just beat, but is still in the hunt, trying to make the playoff spot. And then they've got North Carolina, who's the other team between us and them. North Carolina has Rhode Island, who has been on a 13 points out of 5 games. So that's 4 wins and a draw in their past 5 games to get themselves back into the playoff hunt and put themselves in competition. And then, like I said, Tampa, they still have a chance. They need to win in Hartford, and Detroit plays Charleston during the final game. So there's a lot that Tampa could do because they can see Detroit losing Charleston. Like I said, 3-10. There's going to be a lot of movement, I think, in the next 2 weeks. Justin, where do you think we fall and why?
I mean, I think I would guess we're going to end up in either 5th or 6th. I think it's going to be really hard to move further than, I mean, anything can happen over the next couple of weeks, like whatever. But I also have to put our, I'm not expecting us to get 6 points. So I have to put that in the mix of things. And so I do think we need to win 1 out of the last 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we end up in the playoffs, but I would really like us to end up 5th or 6th, at least, because then I think you're going to 3 or 4, as you're going to either the 3rd or 4th place team. And for some of those teams, for Hartford, for Loudon, it's really hard to beat a team multiple times during the season. And so I think, it gives us some chance to go in there and get a result. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do against Charleston or Louisville eventually. I just don't want to see either of those teams in the first round of the playoffs.
So, Josh, are we going to be sitting high mark? What is that? The last week of October, first week of November, whatever that Saturday is. I don't know how the dates are.
This is the problem with one, how close the table is. It doesn't seem insurmountable for us to get 4th place. It's just we're 2 points away. I mean, come on. This is totally possible. And looking at who everyone else is playing, Loudon playing and North Carolina playing, those are very tough schedules just because of the fact that you're playing other teams that are also fighting for those spots. And so the swings that can happen with those is pretty big. But there's also the freaking manager aspect of all this, with us not knowing what the heck's going on with Bob, with who's coaching now, whose strategy are we going to be using for next game? Because you would think this game, they came into it with a playbook that was pre-written by Bob. I don't know how much they followed it, but they talked about lineups and who was starting, who was not, probably the day it happened. So so who knows,
if not before.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I got a feeling they were already set before Bob left. So I don't know, what does this team even look like next week? Who's deciding? Where's that going? So it's just all so freaking up in the air right now. It's hard to know. And there's also this weird momentum now because of, everything changing. And I think there is something to be said with just a change causing momentum. Just because it's something new. So to answer your question, I think I need to not get home playoff hopes up and just be happy that we're making the playoffs, and just want us to win more than one game in the playoffs. Obviously, I want us to win at least a game, but more than one is my goal.
Sure.
And for that to happen, we cannot finish in 8th or 7th. We need to finish 5th or 6th. Obviously 4th would be ideal. But yeah, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw that up again. I mean, the only thing that keeps us from finishing in 7th or 8th is Rhode Island outperforming us. So we need to, and not just outperforming us, they need to do better than us with an extra a win in there, right? So we win, we're in 6th. We tie and win, we're in 6th. we tie one game and they win both, we potentially drop to 7th, depending on what everybody else does. And so the reality is, if the Hounds can go out and get a win in either of these games, we are locked in at 6th or above, and that's a really good spot. And so, yeah, I mean, we know what we need to do. To your point, Josh, I think there is a lot that rides on what the coaching staff and what the players learn in the next few days about the situation with Bob Lilley. That if there is a change that brings Bob Lilley back, that influences the team in one way. If there is the knowledge that this is the end, that influences the team in a different way. And I don't know, and I don't think any of us know what either of those influences are in any specific direction or whatnot, but just that there's a lot of questions about what they know, what they don't know, whether they get information, whether they don't, how that impacts them, and how that impacts the decisions going forward from whoever's making those decisions on the sideline in practice, selecting the lineup, selecting the substitutes. Lots of big questions that put everything else about who everyone else is playing on the side. And there's a lot of questions about the Hounds at this point. So we're not going to necessarily know right away, and we'll have to wait till next week to see how we react to whatever the news is at that point, whatever the Hounds' performance is in Monterey Bay, and go from there. So
Everyone be prepared to be frustrated by the lack of any news, and it's just being this again next week where we're like, we don't know what's going on. We know that blah, blah, blah. Like I got a feeling that might be the rest of the season.
I think that you are 100% right that we won't get any news, but I do have some hope that we will see something in terms of the game that gives us some speculative ways to break down how the Hounds perform. And so
Vincent declares himself player coach and comes out in the black.
Do you think his knee will survive?
No, but
I mean,
would be epic.
That was the thing. I don't remember if it was on Reddit or if it was the Steel Army Discord where somebody was asking kind of about his history in the midst of this the other day. And I was like, somebody said like, oh, yeah, he went to an MLS team. And it's like, and he would have been really, really good for DC if his knee didn't implode. I mean, he had his first few months in DC were absolutely fantastic as a casual at best DC fan, formerly fierce DC fan. It was exciting to see a guy from here go to DC and be really good in those first few games that he played before his knee issues happened. So, I would love to see him back on the field, but I don't think it's going to happen.
But also props. I don't know if we actually said it on here, but congratulations on your first ever, win as a head coach for a professional team. Because I mean, even if it's interim or acting head coach, you still were the head coach of a team that just won a game. So congrats to Vince.
Woo! That's what we do in class when students present their stuff. So clapping doesn't feel appropriate. It's class. All right, guys. I got nothing else. You got anything else?
I'm good.
Nope. I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I am going to take solace in the fact that I don't have to play the ridiculous Ryan Reynolds clip that Mike built because none of us have anything for a non-sound segment. And that thing really, really just is so annoying. So we're not playing it. And we're just going to move on and call it a show. So, Justin, Josh, thanks for joining me. Justin, especially, thanks for jumping on shorter notice. You've heard what we think. You know how to get in contact with us on social media platforms, on YouTube, wherever. So if you've got thoughts, questions, let us know, and we'll get back to you. But that's all I've got. Thanks, guys.
Later.